So, a little background. A lot of you might not know that my undergraduate degree was in life sciences and microbiology. So this is Queen's University where I did my undergrad, and that area where we have the yellow square, that was the health sciences centers. I was in the big, tall building right there. Actually, where I lived on campus for the first 2 years. Was the dorm I lived in. Just had a beautiful view of Lake Ontario. This is Lake Ontario right here, right on the shore there. Probably the most famous alumni of Queens is Elon Musk. And he would have actually spent probably most of his time, this round building here is a physics building. He probably spent most of his time there. So I got partway through when I was doing my microbiology courses, I kind of got into was in the labs. I had some choices in where do I want to focus more on bacteria or I want to focus more on viruses. And I definitely chose to do more bacterial work. Bacteria were predictable, they were reliable. You put a stress on them, they responded as you would expect them to. Viruses were highly unpredictable and highly to control. So even back 20 years ago, actually a little more than 20 years ago now, that I knew viruses were not my thing to deal with because of the unpredictability factor. So I thought I'd share that with you because gives you a little idea of the environment right now. It's hard to predict what's going to be happening in the future. So kind of going back to some of our other classes here, for example, the purpose of the first one was, it's all about getting your body to heal and repair. First class we did was actually more having the proper nutrients. So when your body's in healing and repairing state, it can heal and repair. Second one was body heals and repairs while you're sleeping. Okay, so now here's the third factor here is that it's hard or challenging or difficult, or even that we see far less repair and healing occurring when it's fighting something off. Okay, so past few videos I started with an article, and I thought this was actually a really exciting study and a good, I guess say some good information here, or positive information. This is a study I just read on Friday. And it just came out, it was just published on the 15th. And it looked at COVID the possibility of reinfection. And they looked at 43,000 people. So it was actually a pretty big study. And they followed them after their infection for 35 weeks. And the reinfection odds was 2 in 10,000. So that means really rare, really low chances of it occurring. So, which is really good to hear. Like, I mean, it's great to see that, hey, reinfection is a really rare thing. And I clipped the conclusion. This is the direct conclusions from the study. Reinfection is rare. Natural infection appears to elicit strong protection against reinfection with efficiency of above 90% for at least 7 months. So, what this means, short, hey, if you get COVID-19, the likelihood of you getting it for at least the next 7 months is really low, like around 2 in 10,000. So it gives this idea that, hey, you have that long-standing immunity. So even though that's not directly related to the workshop, when I saw it, I was like, hey, this is great news. And I wanted to pass it on because unfortunately something we're seeing now, at least with the Pfizer Moderna vaccines right now, it gives you extra protection there for having a severe COVID infection, but it does not prevent transmission, or it does not prevent the spread of it. Okay. So signs of COVID-19. I want to go over this because I want to go over some action steps. I want to go first off. Okay, if you think you have it, and then what to do, and then what to do is actually as preventative. So I want to, because here's the thing, I like to control things. I can control everything that's out there, but I control exactly me as a host. And my objective is to make myself the most unhospitable host to this virus as possible, or any virus as possible. So even though I kind of may have a slant a little to COVID-19, really, it doesn't really, my my protection doesn't really differ greatly over even other years. Even most of these things I'm doing this year, I did last year and the year before that too. So, okay, so some of the signs of COVID-19, fatigue is the most common one. 82% of people get that. Headaches, 72% people get that. Fever, which is kind of what we're kind of taught is kind of the more common indicator. Only 40%, so less than half. And then we need smaller percentages for coughs, loss of smell. We're definitely going to talk about that one later. Sore throat. So one thing I want to mention here too is all these ones, except for sense of smell, loss of sense of smell, but fatigue, headache, fever, cough, sore throat. That is not the virus that's causing that, or any virus. Really, if you get that, it's not any virus or any bacteria or anything that causes those symptoms. Those symptoms are actually your body's defense system. That's your immune system that's actually causing that. So, so really what we're trying to do, what we want to do is actually, hey, have your body actually mount a more protective, more protective defense without causing a lot of these symptoms at the same time. Okay. So I mentioned some of these symptoms. Now this is not, I didn't write this, however, this is pretty much what I would do. And you'll see why in a bit. Because a lot of hospitals are kind of starting more with this protocol, or at least a component of it. And actually, a component of it, we're seeing a little more of at least 1 or 2 components opposed to the whole thing. This I actually got off of Dr. Eric Berg, who's a chiropractor in Virginia. So, however, I'm sure he got off of someone else too, or whatever. This is not a new thing that we're seeing or new. This is a first sign infection, whether you become positive or not. You just feel, hey, I'm feeling a little off. Doesn't matter whether it's COVID-19 or not. Doesn't really matter. It can be just you're feeling off. You feel like, hey, you might be fighting something. Here's a good strategy to use. Now, so I want to show you the strategies first, because later on I originally had this later on in the workshop after I kind of explained the why. And I thought, well, hey, I'd rather give you something to do and explain the why later, because in case we run out of time, you don't get all the why, no big deal. At least you have the strategies. So I moved this up in the workshop so we can kind of at least make sure this gets in. So here's the strategy here. Vitamin D, 30,000 I used, zinc 225 micrograms. This is per day. And again, this would not be a long period of time. This would be for like a week. So this is not extensive long time. Vitamin C, 1,000 milligrams. Increases, you want to increase your sleep, give your body as much chance of sleep as possible. Why? Because as we went over last week, body heals and repairs at its best. Body fights infection at its best when you're sleeping. You want to keep the body warm, heat the body. Whether this is blankets or whether this is, using the heating pad, whether, drinking hot herbal teas. This is, you want to be drinking, of course, drinking a lot in here, but herbal teas are great because they don't have caffeine in. A lot of the different ones, like things like ginger and chamomile and that, they kind of are a little more soothing for the body too. They're beneficial as well. So the idea is drinking them as warm as you possibly can to heat your body up. When the body's hot, fights infections better. Think of what's the purpose of the fever. The purpose of the fever is so your body can fight that infection off better. There was a study, it was actually at Johns Hopkins, and they compared people where they gave a placebo and where they gave them Tylenol to fight their fever. The people that took the placebo got better on average 3 or 4 days better from this was just the general flu, because the study was done a few years ago. The people that took the placebo got better quicker and faster than the people that were taking the Tylenol, because Tylenol was cutting the fever. Again, that's your body's ability to fight itself. So back when I was at Queen's University earlier, one of my friends, a person I became friends with, was an exchange student from Germany, and she showed me kind of like a common German folk healing or immune system principle was, just using wine in a saucepan, heat it up as hot as you can, put a lot of different citrus into it, almost make like a sangria, and then like over time, drinking it as hot as it can. After you put on a couple sweatshirts and some sweatpants and a jacket, just get your body super hot. And I remember that too. It was just like I did that and just got big sweat came over me, and then hey, the next day I felt a lot better. So so anyway, that got heating the body is a big component too. No carbs, no sugar, no dairy. All dairy is a mucogenic, makes you produce more mucus. Carbs and sugar, they give this stuff, especially bacteria, they give it more food to live off of. They love that stuff. So again, my goal, I want my body to be as inhospitable for these, whether it's a virus or a bacteria, as possible. So this is prevention. So this is kind of more, and actually you'll see a picture of kind of like the different things I'm taking right now. Preventatively, vitamin D, I put 5 to 10,000 because there's a little bit of a range there, because it kind of depends, hey, what's your level? So like, some people say, how much vitamin D should I take? Well, what's your vitamin D level right now? I mean, you should know it. Also too, because the best way to get vitamin D is actually through the sun. Obviously, during the winter here, we're not getting as much sun as we are in the summer. So maybe the summer, if I'm going outside without sunscreen, if you have sunscreen on it, you do not produce vitamin D. But vitamin D, how it's made is actually how you make it get from the sun is you actually have cholesterol derivatives in your body that's formed from cholesterol, and then that, when it gets hit by the sun, by the UV light, it turns into vitamin D. If you're taking statins and have a lot of lower vitamin D, if you're taking statins, you have less cholesterol. Generally, you're able to produce less vitamin D. So if you're taking statin, you definitely want to be taking a supplement, and you're at more risk of having a lower level. Again, the purpose of getting those blood tests so you can learn your level. I'll be going into a little bit more detail coming up. Zinc, 30 milligrams. Generally right now, I've been doing closer to 50 because I don't necessarily take it every day. I take, Mondays and Thursdays, I don't take a lot of supplements because I'm here from early morning to later in the evening. So, if I'm taking 50 milligrams, that allows me to skip a day or two. Vitamin C, 1,000 milligrams. Focusing on the sleep, keeping the body warm. That doesn't change really. We just more keep the body warm as opposed to forcing it to be warm. Low carbs, low sugar, low dairy. So it doesn't change dramatically. It's just a little less intense. So a couple supplements that I'm taking here. There's my vitamin D. Now before 5,000 IUs was considered like a high one that you could get over the counter. Now it's 10,000. I've even seen some ones that now that they're actually coming up to 50,000. So we partnered with Delia and Dean's, and they brought in some things for me here. This is actually the Natural Bone and Joint Health, and this actually has 10,000 IUs of vitamin D in. Hey, good stuff. Vitamin D is not that expensive because a lot of people think, oh, that must be really expensive in that. But this here is 60 tablets. So this would be good for, 2 months, and it's just over $11. So it's not even $12, and it's, that's less than $6 a month. And this one actually has a little special one because it actually has some boron in, so it has a little bit of extra. That's more why they call it the bone and joint health. Boron is important for that. Now, when you get your blood test done for vitamin D, they typically say the normal is 30. However, that's more for bone health. For your immune system to be working at its best, you want it closer to 50. However, a lot of studies were done with that 30 there, so we'll see kind of that in the future. So even just getting it, you don't want to be below 30. That's the key thing. Okay, so then I have, this is what I have right here. So then I have the elderberry that I take every day because I like it as liquid. elderberry and zinc. This is one I don't take every day, but I think it's a nice one to have. It has elderberry. It's in a lozenge. So these are lozenges, 12 milligrams of zinc per lozenge. So just another method of taking. This is the zinc I tend to take. It's 50 microgram or milligrams. So I have the zinc here from Delia and Dean's. It's 30. So that's fine to take as if you're better regimented than me and take it every day. And this stuff is not expensive. So this is 100 capsules. This would actually last you 2.5 months, and it's $7.80. This is not expensive, you know. So it actually ends up being like less than $3 a month. You know, so vitamin C here. This one here is 500 milligrams, 60 in here. So this is at least a month's supply, if not two, and this is $12. You know, so the one I have here is 1,000. That's fine. Generally, 500 is almost better because the more that you take at once, the less you absorb. So Fire Brew, this right here is, you may have heard the term fire cider. This is a form of that. It's pretty much the same thing. So fire ciders have been around since the 1400s. And there was one company that trademarked it a couple years ago. And they violently fought anyone else that tried to make it and tried to sell it. And then other companies took them to court and said, hey, this has been around for 600 years. You can't trademark something that's been around for so long. And they won the lawsuit. So like, I mean, now we're seeing more companies make this. So pretty much what this one's Fire Brew or Fire Cider. It's made it's from apple cider vinegar. That's the main component. And then infused in it, because actually this stuff sits in there for a month, is horseradish, oranges, honey, habanero peppers. That's not in the traditional one from 600 years ago, but that definitely brings a little more heat to it. Garlic, turmeric. So it's a lot of good things that actually kind of really help fight things, and just, you know, like 1/4 of an ounce or a tablespoon a day really kind of helps fight things. Okay, I put this deflame right here because this is not really anti-inflammatory, or this is not really in terms of immune system, but it helps reduce inflammation. And one of the things that they found about COVID-19, and one of the big problems, is actually when the body gets really inflamed. So that would be kind of something I might add to if I think I had COVID-19, or we find something to help kind of dull the inflammation a bit. And this here I have an angle is emergency pack. Delia and Dean's brought me in the Ester C one, which is the same thing. It's very, very equivocal. One thing I like about this one and this one compared to the emergency is it's more stevia, but also too, this has some N-acetylcysteine. And we might, if we have time, we might chance to talk about that a little later. So thank you for Delia and Dean's for bringing that in. And there's their information. And if I have time at the end, I'm going to show a little clip of, it's like a 1-minute clip of what their store looks like. Hey, wonderful that we have something like this in downtown Pottstown. So really appreciative that they partnered up with us for this video. Okay, so I got to talk about, hey, what does the World Health Organization say, you know, about this? And this was their official statement back in September. Okay, so I'll read first and I'll comment on it. Micronutrients such as vitamin D, C, and zinc are critical for a well-functioning immune system. Okay, so they're here right off the bat. They're admitting that for immune system to work well, you need to have these and play a vital role in promoting health and nutritional well-being. There's currently no guidance on the use of micronutrient supplements as a treatment for COVID-19. If you see the CDC, they'll tell you don't take supplements. And I forgot to bring it in with me. Surprisingly, I got an article on, or I got an AARP newspaper this weekend. When I get that, I wonder, like, how old do they think I am? But I received that, and then there they had a whole page of like, do not take any supplements. at all. And I'm like, what? Like, you're kind of, this is actually more to people that actually need it the most. So I was going to show that, but I don't have that on my hand right now. That's on my desk. World Health Organization is coordinating efforts to develop and evaluate medicines to treat COVID-19. So first off, we're not trying to use these supplements to cure. We're trying to kind of make this so, hey, our bodies have the best chance possible. And that's what we want to see. We want to see, hey, fewer deaths, fewer hospitalizations. And that's what we see actually when these are used, because there's been a lot of studies on these coming out in the past several months. So what's going on that you're maybe not seeing a whole lot of? Actually, surprisingly, I was surprised that Fox put this on, Fox News. At the East Virginia School of Medicine, there is a COVID protocol that includes vitamin D. Dr. Osborne said he was the person reporting this. So if you're hospitalized for COVID, they're automatically putting you on between 20,000 and 60,000 units, which are international units, of vitamin D. This is the part of the standard of care protocol in that hospital system. So almost like they're realizing that this is a useful thing to do, saving lives. This came out in December, the frontiers in nutrition. Zinc and vitamin C and D stand out for having immunomodulatory functions and for playing roles in preserving physical tissue barriers. What's an example of physical tissue barrier? The lungs. During COVID-19 pandemic, the adequate intake of zinc and vitamin C and D may represent a promising pharmacological tool due to the high demands of these nutrients in the case of contact with the viruses and onset of inflammatory processes. So this is kind of tough, because this, these frontiers of nutrition is mainly for nutritionists, for clinical nutritionists. Like, I mean, this is not meant for general public, but like, I mean, we're seeing out there, hey, the industry is saying like that also too, that the studies are backing this up. And this is kind of one of the most frustrating things for me is that, like, I mean, hey, if you want to save lives, get this information out. Let people know about it. So let's talk a little bit about zinc here. Again, I want to make sure that we're done in time, but kind of one of the key things is zinc. You don't have the ability to store it. So it's like, it's not one thing that's going to sit in your system for a long period of time. You got to have it ingested on a regular basis. From foods, where do you get it from? Vegetarians will have a tougher time with this because the highest, sources that are beef and shellfish. So as vegetarians are not consuming that, hey, they're not going to have as much. Also, like a lot of plant sources, you'll see plant sources, okay, it looks really high, but there's also phthalates and oxalates in there that prevent absorption. So it's harder to get good absorption from plant sources. The blood tests are not the most accurate because it doesn't show exactly what is in the cell. It's just kind of show what's circulating. And what it's highly used in is high turnover cells, like cells that reproduce constantly. One of the most common symptoms of zinc deficiency is loss of sense of taste. And why is that? Because your taste buds turn over every 2 weeks. Like a taste bud does not last very long, so there's a high turnover rate. So if you have zinc deficiency, your body cannot make more taste buds. So actually when they turn over, when they turn over and they're not working correctly, hey, you lose your sense of taste. Interesting. So again, this kind of shows sources: beef, oysters, mushrooms, beans, pistachio, crab. These are kind of like some of the best sources here. In terms of, hey, what does it do? Decreases inflammation, one of the big ones, and actually boosts, based on what we're talking about today, decreases inflammation, boosts immune function. Some of the things that you'll notice: lowered immunity. Your body can't fight things off as well. We'll see like memory kind of decreasing, more abnormal hair loss. Again, the best test really for looking for zinc is actually a hair test, because you'll actually see it depleted in the hair. That's like that'll be the first place that you'll actually see it from a functional objective test. Sometimes you'll see spots on the fingernails. That's like an indicator. Low energy, insomnia, you can't sleep right, you lose your sense of taste. So a couple things there on that. Okay, vitamin D. Here, what does it do? Binds. It actually gets. These are different white blood cells here. Actually, it's actually a regulator, and it actually makes these cells better at killing, the bad guys. It's like makes them stronger. Okay, a lot of tests. Here's the amazing thing: 270 tests have come out this year, or 270 studies have come out this year showing that vitamin D in some way is useful for fighting COVID-19, whether it decreases hospital admissions, whether it actually decreases deaths, whether it actually lowers symptoms, whether actually a lot of studies come showing that actually you're less likely to even get it. It actually lowers transmission because your body has to fight it off before it even actually settles in. So we're seeing a lot. Said 270 studies this past year on vitamin D and COVID-19. So this is not like a couple, just handful of ones. These are big ones. And this was a study for Northwestern University. So it was, if you have severe vitamin D deficiency, twice as likely to experience severe complications, including death. So that was one of them. Like there was actually, based on different studies from Philippines, Indonesia, Spain, and Ireland, they showed anywhere if you're low on vitamin D, and that's below that 30, actually, especially if you're below that 20, you're anywhere from 2 to 7 times more likely to die from COVID-19 than if you were above that 30. So why aren't we letting people know about that? I mean, I'm not saying that masks that are not useful. They are, but like, hey, let's give people the full information they need, because vitamin D is that something that you can control. If you need to test to find out what your number is, I can order it for you. It's like, well, we have a deal with LabCorp. It's actually, I think it's $55 to get your vitamin D tested. It's really low. It's regularly like a $380 test, but like the deal I have with LabCorp is $55. Even if you don't have insurance, that's and I can order for you right away. Okay. So this is actually was one of the first studies that came out on it, and I just kind of use this one because like the graphics easy to read and really kind of shows what even a lot of the other studies further along showed. But this is just kind of easier to read. So anyway, these are from the left. This is kind of people that need a critical condition, okay, or they're in the ICU, from COVID. Severe symptoms, moderate symptoms, and like mild to next to nothing. Okay, so reds are if your vitamin D level is less than 20. Green is if it's over 30. So look at here. Most of the people in the severe area had vitamin D levels lower than 20. Most of the people here, in a very mild case in that, have vitamin D levels higher than 30. Where would you rather be? Then again, the sign of control. Hey, take vitamin D so I can be up here. I want mild symptoms. The sign of control and can put my body in the best, strongest state possible. I want to be, I want to be a terrible host for a virus. Okay, so I know we're kind of winding up. So I went a little bit over time, so we're not going to have time to kind of go over some of these other things. This actually study I really like because actually showed N-acetylcysteine, and one of my favorites, nitric oxide, and L-arginine deplete is one of my favorite things. Actually boost up the nitric oxide. So finishing off here, I want to kind of talk about this too. This is medical news today. This is from a couple of years ago. It used to be dogma that the brain was shut away from the actions of the immune system, shielded from the outside forces of nature. But that's not how it is at all. It turns out that the brain talks directly to the immune system, sending commands that control the body's inflammatory response to infection and autoimmune diseases. So what do we know from this is actually the brain has some big control systems over the immune system itself, and actually the nervous system itself. Actually, been a lot of studies done in Australia looking at how and more the functionality and actions of how does the immune system work and regulate and control the immune system. Okay, so there's actually been multiple studies on actually chiropractic and the functionality of the immune system, because again, the nervous system's control over it. I wasn't really too sure which one to put up because, like, I mean, there's a bunch of them, but I thought I had to throw this one up here because I think this is kind of one of the simplest ones. The research showed that your immune system actually is upregulated, works more intense for 24 to 48 hours after an adjustment. So especially the fighter T cells, which are part of the some of the white blood cells, are working stronger and are more active. Again, when there's something going around, I want my system working at the best. I want all my fighters, all my immune system working at its best to keep things at bay and keep things under control. So, summary here: vitamin D. If you don't know your level, gosh, find it out. You know, like, I mean, you make sure you actually, because again, if you know what your level is, we can actually make a game plan of actually like how much vitamin D should you take, you know, should you need, you know. So if you're lower than 20, you're boosting it up. Let's boost it up really quickly. If you're over 30, you know, like say you're 40, we don't have to worry about it too much. So different actions based on whatever your level is. Vitamin C, hey, make sure you know, I didn't get over all the mechanisms of that. Zinc, main thing that vitamin C does is, in short, is it blocks the ACE receptor that the COVID actually enters the cell then via. So it actually creates a barrier for that. Zinc, we talked about there. Hey, if you haven't watched, because all this stuff works together. Like, again, the goal is be healthier overall. That's our goal. We always want for you. So if you haven't watched session 1, session 2, please watch it, and then you'll get adjusted. You know, that's why I want to make sure I'm making sure right now. One of the things I do is I make sure I get adjusted, especially when there's colds and things that I may get adjusted once to twice a week. You know, I know my parents are under regular chiropractic care. They live out of state. But what they do is they actually get their schedule is every other week. That's when they get adjusted for their wellness care with their chiropractor. And then, like, if the things are going around and things are, hey, like there's, you know, like right now, they actually get adjusted at least weekly. You know, they change that up. You know, they get those extra adjustments in so their bodies can be less hospitable. So hopefully you get my idea of this, my philosophy on this. And again, you know, I'm not looking at these as curative. I just want to be, I'm trying to put my body in the state where, hey, this, you know, it's going to be the biggest obstacle and biggest challenge for these things to be as possible. I want to try to put my body in the best state so I'm likely to have less complications as possible. I want to be one of the people that, hey, if I get it, because again, these things are unpredictable. You know, my mentality is, hey, focus on, you know, how's my body going to be when I do get it? You know, because I figure, like, I mean, hey, that it's almost inevitable. I hope I don't, but hey, I want to be one of the mild cases. Luckily, most of the cases, I would say about 90% of the cases of people that we talk to have had very mild symptoms, which is good news. Now, unfortunately, we've had some people that have severe symptoms, but most people I've talked to, I've had, you know, there are patients here that have had it very mild by the strong majority. Okay, so please let others know about chiropractic, especially, you know, one of the cool things we can talk about today is, hey, you know, chiropractic gives you that, definitely, you know, I don't want to say it's curative for COVID or anything like that. I just want to say, hey, like, I mean, your body's stronger when you're getting adjusted than when you're not, in all aspects. If you want us to do a class via Zoom for a business or organization, hey, please let us know. We're happy to do it. Also, too, we're going to have a replay coming on this. I believe we just released the replay for last week's yesterday. So you should have got an email to link you to that. If you didn't get it, hey, please let me know. Okay, so I want to exit this. And I just briefly, before we sign off, I want to show, hopefully it shows up here, Dealey and Dean's commercial here.
We love Zoom as being a food desert. For so many things, you have to go outside of the area. And so that's why we started Dealey and Dean. When customers come here, they'll find locally sourced produce. We have a variety of plant-based meat alternatives. We have a lot of people in this area that are looking for gluten-free products. March of this year was a real game changer for us. We were considered an essential business for our area. We took that very seriously because we could continue providing the service to the community. We took the time to figure it out. We started curbside pickup, and we really took the leap in trying to figure out how to provide a delivery option. We were really committed to making sure that they were able to access the food that they wanted. We know our customers by name. That type of interaction can only happen in that small business environment. We want to see our community experience the same thing that we want to experience, just living a happier, healthier life. It's as simple as that. My name is Dina Reeves. I am the owner of Delia and Dean in Pottstown, Pennsylvania.
Okay, so if you haven't gone to Delia and Dean's, please make an effort to go check out their store. So thanks for being here tonight. Thanks. We're going to be deciding like, well, are we going to have one of these in the future? So, hey, your feedback allows us to decide if we're going to keep on doing these. Dr. Connor also made a good mention too about, the elderberry syrup we get from our local physical therapist, Kate. Like that's really good stuff too. Elderberry helps break the spike that viruses use. So again, thanks for being here tonight, and we'll talk to you later. Thanks for your feedback.